Hansa Yellow Medium. Sup, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another episode of The Paint Show. And today we're going to look at Hansa Yellow Medium by Daniel Smith. Just a quick brief on how I got to own this tube. I got it together with Daniel Smith's primary set. Now I will put links to purchase in the description box below. You get it through my link. I get a small commission. You pay the same price. The thing is that the primary set, I highly recommend it because it's very cost effective, but I don't necessarily like how all these paints work together. So this is something that's important to note. I really like the colors individually, except for this one that I just didn't try using enough, and this is a part of why I'm making this episode, because I feel like it's time to give it some love actually, and to just try and incorporate it more in my work. Now originally I treated this one as a cool yellow, but it isn't exactly cool, and I'm going to soon read to you the description of Daniel Smith on their website. It's more of a neutral yellow really. Now I do want to make a small distinction between this one. So if you got the Daniel Smith Essentials set, you've got this Hansa Yellow Light. Okay, so these are a little different. This one is a little superior, I guess, and I will make a small comparison and show you where this stands compared to other paints. Okay, I think it's really important for you to see this next to the Hansa Yellow Light and perhaps another warmer yellow. Okay, so I did treat this one in the past as a cooler yellow just because I compared it to extremely warm yellows, but it's actually rather a neutral one, I guess. So what I want to do now is read to you the description on Daniel Smith's website, which actually makes me want to try it a little more. So Hansa Yellow Medium is a high tinting organic pigment. Considered the perfect yellow, Hansa Yellow Medium offers more control when mixing. Painters admire the purity of this primary pigment and adjust its temperature while avoiding gray from hidden complement. Think of yellow pepper. So if this one really is kind of a perfect neutral yellow, I'm really interested in trying it out. So what I'm going to do now is rearrange the camera, and we will look at these stats and we will kind of quickly compare them to this one's. And then we're going to do some experimentation just to swatch it out, do some wet on dry, wet and wet, dry brush even. And also I want to just have a quick demo of mixing with some greens. And also a quick painting demo of maybe, I think, an avocado. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like as mixed in a more, let's say, complete painting. But it's going to be a rather quick one regardless. So what I'm going to do is rearrange the camera and we can get started. Okay, so let's go over some of this paint's info. So Hansa Yellow Medium, just to remind you, I don't want you to be confused with the other one for now. So the pigment is PY97, which is Aerolite Yellow FGL. Now, I don't really know what FGL means. So if you know, leave a comment below letting me know. I also did some research, and it turns out this has sort of a green undertone at times. So really, I guess it depends on the specific combo used or the composition of the tube itself. This one is a series 2. Its light fastness is 1, that's excellent. Semi-transparent, low staining, non-granulating. Okay, so a semi-transparent, low staining, non-granulating yellow. And that's supposed to be neutral. Now, I do want to quickly compare this to Hansa Yellow Light here. So the pigment is different. That's PY3, which, if you remember, is the same pigment used in the Indian Yellow by SAAA. So the other brand that I showed you. I've got it here too. I believe it's this one. No, sorry, it's this one. And so it's very interesting to see that it's the same pigment, but it will look very different. So this is why some have questioned the PY3 on the other one. I still don't know how to solve that mystery. But in any case, PY3, this is series 1, okay, so cheaper than PY97. Light fastness is 2, okay, so that's very good. Semi-transparent, low staining, non-granulating. So if you carefully observe this one, it's actually the exact same. The only difference is the pigment and the light fastness, and as a result probably the series as well. So what we're gonna do now is I will rearrange some stuff here and we will make a comparison of these two and just take a closer look at the Hansa Yellow Medium. So here's what we're gonna test out, okay? We're gonna test out the Hansa Yellow Medium, then I'm gonna quickly swatch the Hansa Yellow Light so that we can see the difference between the two. Then we're gonna do some wet and wet, some dry brush, and finally some mixes, and then I'll turn the page and we'll do a quick demo. So let me zoom in a bit. So I actually am gonna open this up and put some on the palette, but I wanna show you, this paint is relatively wet, okay, and soft, so it kind of spilled out, but just slightly. Okay, so let me show you what this one looks like. So now we're looking at the Hansa Yellow Medium, and it does feel very neutral, and I actually didn't remember it being so beautiful. So now I can't wait to use it for real in a real painting. And now I'm just grabbing a lot of it to show you what it looks like when it's when the water to pigment ratio is different. So you can see, because it's a naturally light color because it's yellow. So you do need to use a lot of pigment just to produce the most out of it. So here you get hopefully a good understanding of what this one looks like. Now I'm gonna swatch out the Hansa Yellow Light right next to it so you can see the difference here. And it's gonna look probably very different. So the Hansa Yellow Light is significantly more lemony. And actually it's the one I've been using in many of my recent portraits. I don't remember if I accidentally said I've been using this one. I've been using the light, which is a bit more green, I guess. This one really isn't the way I remembered it, so it was really good for me to revisit it in one of these episodes. So I'm trying to push this one to be as dark as possible. I guess this is the most I'll make of it. So next we're gonna try out some wet and wet. So I'm gonna move this a bit. I'm going to thoroughly clean my brush. Even when you do, sometimes there's a bit of paint left, so I probably just switch to this one, just for the wet area to make it wet. So this is the last time I'm gonna use the Hansa Yellow Light here, okay? I just want to show you the medium in this episode. So I'm just pre-wetting this area. Now I can't pre-wet too much because this is a sketchbook, so it's not gonna take too much water, and there's no need to, so I'm just gonna start dabbing the paint in here. So it spreads out a lot, and especially when compared to the SAA paints that I just noticed spread out much less and give you a lot more control when done wet and wet. So anyway, yes, and this one again won't make or produce too darker values, okay? This is probably the darkest, and once it's dry it will be even lighter than that, because this is a very wet area. When you do wet and wet you always have to calculate even more and make it deliberately darker if you want to get a dark result. I'm taking a lot of paint now and putting it almost kind of opaque. But yeah, anyway, this is it in terms of wet and wet. I'm gonna try the dry now. I'm just being very quick about it. So it almost feels like gouache because I'm really using it opaquely, I guess. I don't know if you can say that. But in any case. So hopefully you can see this well. I have to say that I love this yellow. It is pretty, now it looks, especially compared to the light, it looks so warm. So this one is just one of those paints that I forgot that I should really love and use. So yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be this much. So I'll probably have quite a few uses for this one. So now, next what I want to do is show you some mixes. So I'm going to start out with Phthalo Blue. So I'm just going to put in some yellow. We'll clean the brush, and then I'm going to grab some of the Phthalo Blue here. And I'm going to try mixing them on the palette as well, just to produce a darker result. So my palette is a bit messy, but here you can see the mix and what it looks like. So it is quite a convenient yellow to mix, it seems, because when I mix with the phthalo blue, it really depends. You need to be really careful what colors you mix with it. And because it's a more neutral yellow, I guess it will work really well. When I mix warmer yellows, it's just a different result, and cooler yellows are more suitable, I guess, for phthalo blue. It's a good question. I'm really not sure. I think in the future I'll try and make a comparison, even just for myself. This is what it looks like pure. Just for myself on how this looks like compared to maybe the light, Hansa Yellow Light. So anyway, now I want to try mixing it with some French Ultramarine here. So I'm just gonna start again with the yellow. Just put a little yellow here. And this should produce a probably more muted green, but I'm not sure. We'll have to test it out. So some of the blue. Yeah, it's probably gonna produce, it produces a much more muted green. So I'm gonna show you. This is my ultramarine blue. This is what it looks like in its pure form. And next up I'm gonna try and mix some more on the palette here. I'm gonna try and find an empty space for that. So I'm gonna grab some of the French ultramarine here. And just add a bit of the yellow. I just want to show you the darker representation of that. So this is probably what this will look like. And it could work for many uses, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is just zoom out and show you everything together. So here you can see everything together, and there's just one thing I want to do now, and that is to show you a comparison to a cadmium yellow. So I'm just grabbing some of that cadmium yellow of PwC Shinhans. I just, for myself as well, I want to see the difference. So you can see how the cadmium is significantly more orange, can achieve probably darker values as well. But hopefully this gives you a snapshot of where this stands on the yellow scale, I guess. So it's really close to neutral. So this is probably a good one to have if you want neutral. So we've got the medium here, the light that is a little cooler and more lemony. We tried some wet and wet. It doesn't really show as wet and wet because I used a huge amount of the paint and it just spread out all through the wet area. Some dry brushes. This one can be significantly dark, especially compared to the Hansa Yellow Light, and some mixes with the phthalo blue. I do want to say that I prefer this mixture with phthalo blue rather than the Hansa Yellow Medium with the phthalo blue. This one works a little better for that. So I'm interested in seeing what color I'll enjoy mixing with that. Perhaps the French Ultramarine. You can see some interesting granulations here already. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Now let's do a real quick demo of a painting of an avocado. I guess I'll do it with the French Ultramarine. Okay, so I'm done here with this demo. I really just wanted you to see what this yellow looks like and then ended up working on something more complete. Not sure exactly what to make of this one because I really let myself go wild. I always do when I paint in a sketchbook, but in any case I used the French Ultramarine, the Hansa Yellow Medium, and some quinacridone rose. Not sure about the combo as well, but hopefully you get an idea of what this yellow looks like. And this is it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's rearrange the camera and wrap up the video. So this is it, friends. I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Paint Show. I'm really happy to do these because they just make me realize how many paints are out there for me to use, and they help me better learn how to use the paints I already own. And this is really important because going back to all of the episodes, from each one, I myself has got a new lesson basically. So this is the reason why I'm doing this. I'm learning together with you, and this one especially I had a lot of learning to do, and I do see myself using it in the future. So I'll probably make a proactive effort to make more use of it. I do find myself using the Hansa Yellow light quite a lot, especially in some of the previous portraits that I showed you when I did them Daniel Smith based, but with this one not as much, and it's supposed to be more perfect than the light, and so I'm pretty excited to try this out and just mix it. It could have worked perfectly in this palette that I prepared, in the Van Gogh palette here, but I think I'll save it up for paints that aren't Daniel Smith. So anyway, this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I will put links to everything in the description box below. Purchase links if you want to support me on Patreon, Instagram, Snapchat, everything, everywhere that you can find me, my podcast. And this is it. Really enjoyed this one. I hope to see you again in another vid real soon. Until then, take care.